And we are back with our women's 5,000 meter fall World Cup selections for 2017. We have two pairs of women going in this section. First pair on the inner lane, Isabel Weidman, paired against Abigail McCluskey on the outer lane. Weidman from Ontario and McCluskey from BC. This 5,000 meter race is 12 and a half laps for these women. It is the longest distance that they do. And we have a false start for this first pair of the women's 5,000 meter on the outer lane by Abigail McCluskey. And a clean start for these two girls as they go into the first corner of their 5,000 meter race. Isabel Weidman, a World Cup level veteran in this distance, and Abigail McCluskey has raced World Cup trials for this distance the past 2 seasons. Weidman coming up to her opener with a time of 21.52 seconds, 21.93 for Abigail McCluskey. The World Cup time standard for Canadian women in this distance is 7 minutes, 13.57 seconds. Let's see how these ladies do. Going into the next turn here. Weidman with a slight lead over McCluskey. Just as in the men's 10,000 meter, it is key to stay very relaxed in this race. Isabel Weidman with a lap time of 33.01. McCluskey with a 33.86 lap time. Weidman going over the top of McCluskey in this transition. Coming down the front stretch, still a pretty close race between these two girls. And Weidman with a time of 33.13 seconds seems to be settling into those low 33-second laps. Abigail McCluskey with a time of 33.84. There is one qualification spot available for this women's 5K. There will be 2 women racing it at the World Cups. Evanie Blondin of Canada has already pre-qualified in this distance due to her results at World Championships last year. Isabel Weidman with another low 33-second lap, 33.15. Abigail McCluskey dipping into those 34s with a time of 34.00. Very long, strong pushes from Weidman as she comes down this back stretch. McCluskey diving into that turn, getting as much power from her strides as she can. Weidman very smooth up this front straightaway. Another solid lap time for Isabel Weidman, 32.82, a negative split. Abigail McCluskey with a lap time of 34.49. Weidman diving into the corner. Abigail McCluskey trying to hold on as best she can. And Weidman coming up to another lap time, 33.10 seconds. Abigail McCluskey with a small negative split of 34.40. Isabel Weidman very strong in this distance. Coming around to the front stretch again. Very smooth coming up to the line. Another lap time of 32.80 seconds for Weidman, another negative split. And 35.47 for McCluskey. A little bit of a dip there. Hopefully she can bring it back. Marcel Lacroix yelling to Isabel Weidman as she goes into the last corner. Another corner. And another solid lap time for Isabel Weidman, 32.86. McCluskey coming up this front stretch. 35.82 for Abigail McCluskey. Isabel Weidman looking very relaxed in this race with just under 2,000 meters to go. Another solid 32-second lap time for Weidman, 32.88. Seems to be settling into those high 32 laps. Abigail McCluskey coming around with a 36.23 second lap. Weidman powering through this front stretch again. Another solid lap time, dipping into those 33-second laps. Let's see if she can bring it back down to 32s. Isabel Weidman dropping that arm now in the last leg of the race. Abigail McCluskey with a small negative split, 36.1 seconds. Abigail McCluskey on the back stretch, pushing as hard as she can. Isabel Weidman with another lap time of 32.95, a little negative split there, back into the 32s. McCluskey coming up the front stretch. McCluskey with a lap time of 36.92, and we see Weidman coming back up the front stretch there with the bell lap for Isabel Weidman. Isabel Weidman with a lap time of 33.09. Let's see if she can bring it back down to 32s for her last lap. Weidman on a very solid sub-7 minute 5K, dropping that arm to get as much power as she can in this last turn. And we see Isabel Weidman coming up on her last straightaway here. Let's hoping for a big PB for Isabel Weidman. And with a final time of 6:57.84, a big PB for Isabel Weidman. Well done. And Abigail McCluskey coming into her last turn here. Abigail McCluskey coming down the last stretch of her 5K race. Lots of people cheering her on from the sidelines. And a final time of 7:25.53 for McCluskey. And in our second and final pair of the women's 5K Fall World Cup selection, on the inner lane we have Josie Morrison from BC, and on the outer lane we have Victoria Spence, also from BC. And we have a clean start for these two skaters as they start their 5,000 meter race. Both of these sisters are veterans of this 5K race on our development and World Cup teams. Let's see how they do. Very smooth going into the first opener here. Opening time for Josie Morrison, 21.27, and Victoria Spence, 21.51. Very evenly matched, these girls. Hopefully they can stick together and work off of each other during the entire race. Very even coming down the first front stretch here. And a time of 33.34 for Josie Morrison, and a time of 33.41 for Tori Spence. Very close, very tight for both of these women. Very smooth down that back stretch into this turn. Morrison with a slight lead on Spence as they're coming up to another lap. Morrison with a time of 34.11 and Spence 34.50. Both girls slightly behind Isabel Weidman's time at this point in the race. Again, the qualifying standard is 7 minutes, 13.57 seconds. Both girls are on track to do much better than that time, so let's see how they hold out. Morrison still slightly ahead with a lap time of 34.32, and Spence with a time of 34.14. Tori Spence bringing it back a little bit to match up with Josie Morrison. Josie with a slight lead coming down this front stretch. And Josie with a negative split of 33.87. Spence with a lap time of 34.34. Josie Morrison seems to be taking the pace up a little bit. Tori Spence trying to hang on. Hopefully she can get back in sync with her sister. Coming down this front stretch, Morrison still has a slight lead. Lap time of 33.96 for Morrison and 34.03 for Spence. A little negative split there by Spence as she brings it back. A great transition by both of these girls. Tori Spence getting a little bit of a draft from Josie as they go down that back stretch. And Josie Morrison with a lead coming out down this front straightaway. 34.21 for Morrison, 34.16 for Spence. And just over halfway done this 5K race, these women look very strong as they go into the second half. Very relaxed on this back stretch going into another turn. And Tori Spence seems to be bringing it back a little bit as the girls are very close coming up to their next lap time. 34.41 for Josie Morrison and 34.12 for Tori Spence. Tori Spence seems to be taking control of this race as they go down the back stretch. Josie Morrison trying to pick it up a little bit as they go into another turn. And Morrison driving, getting that lead back that she lost to her sister last lap. Josie Morrison with a time of 34.14. Tori Spence, 34.19. Very strong laps from these women. Josie Morrison dropping that arm to get a little bit of extra push on that back stretch. Tori Spence chasing down Josie as they go into another corner and into the front stretch. Lots of people on the sidelines cheering them on. 34.38 from Morrison and 34.01 from Spence. Tori Spence seems to be picking it up a little bit in this last 1,200 meters of this race. Both girls are still on pace to go below the World Cup time standard for this distance. Josie Morrison dropping that arm again to get a little more oomph in her push. 34.47 for Josie Morrison and another 34.0 for Tori Spence. 800 meters to go for both women as they come down the backstretch. Both women now dropping an arm, giving it everything they have with 2 laps to go. Tori Spence taking a little bit of a lead here on going into the bell lap of this 5K race. And another negative split by Tori Spence, 33.95. Josie Morrison with a time of 35.10. Hopefully she can pick it up and bring it back down to those 34s. Both women driving down the backstretch with one arm going. Josie Morrison pushing into this last corner. And on the front stretch, we have Tori Spence coming down the straightaway in the lead. Both girls giving it everything they have. And with a final time of 7:10.78 for Spence and 7:12.56 for Morrison, both girls make the World Cup time standard. Our final results, we have Isabel Weidman in first, followed by Victoria Spence and Josie Morrison.
Rob, could you set the computer so that tomorrow morning when I fire up both cameras, I'll be able to see their little
Stay
image
tuned tomorrow for
and if you could just
round
put a
2
logo
of
on
our
the screen.
men's and women's 500 meters,
Down
as
the
well
minute.
as the 1,000
That's it, huh?
World Cup
That's it.
selection.
We're done, boss.
Am I good to yank the front cap?
Yes, you are. Good one.